Greetings to everyone. Welcome to the Jonas Emeritus Foundation's Global Youth Voices for Children's Rights and Empowerment. I'm Cemre Ülker, representative of the Jonas Emeritus Foundations to the United Nations Department of Global Communications. We are convened today with wonderful young professional students who are dedicated to lead civil society actions, mentorship initiatives, localized empowerment programs, reimagining a better, brighter, and an equal future for all children. As tomorrow, the World Children's Day will mark the 35th anniversary of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Today's discussion will be moderated by Banu Uyanık and Zehra Özdemir, Jonas Emeritus Foundation's Summer 2024 interns, and we're thrilled to welcome them back and lead this fantastic discussion. Banu Uyanık is a dedicated senior political science student at the University of Amsterdam, where she specializes in public policy and governance. Banu is dedicated to promoting quality education. She organizes a Saturday school for freshman students who are asylum seekers in the Netherlands to assist them in their integration to Dutch society. Additionally, she serves on the youth committee of the platform INS, where she is actively involved in organizing events that bridge the gap between youth and the policymakers, fostering dialogue on national and European issues. Banu's commitment to social justice extends to her volunteer work with the International Association for Human Rights Advocacy as well. And Zehra Özdemir is an ambitious student at the Georgia State University, pursuing her degree in political science, known for her commitment to social justice and law. Her notable achievements include conducting research on key issues surrounding women's rights to be presented at the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. And during her internship at the JWF, she gained important insights on the Sustainable Development Goals and continued her commitment to human rights. An exemplary scholar, Zehra has been named to the president's list multiple times, and she's a multifaceted individual with a passion for research in social development. Her future aspirations include advocating for human rights and continuing to explore innovative solutions. Well, Banu and Zehra, thank you so much for your leadership to convene this event with a great line of speakers from the USA, Netherlands, India, and Indonesia. So we can't really wait to hear more from your insights. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Cemre, so much. And hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to Journalists and Writers online panel discussion for World Children's Day, Global Youth Voices for Children's Rights and Empowerment. My name is Banu Uyanık, and I'm a student at the University of Amsterdam, and together with Zehra Özdemir, my colleague and fellow intern at the JWF Summer Internship, we will be moderating this event. Children's rights and empowerment are, as Cemre mentioned, incredibly important subjects to us as well, once we were all children not so long ago, and it is crucial that all children can be provided with the circumstances to thrive in. Today, we are together with incredible speakers who will share their experiences and insights of working together with children and surrounding children's rights, empowerment, and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We will first start with our introduction by Zehra. On to you, Zehra.
Thank you, Banu. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Zehra, and as Banu mentioned, we have the honor of moderating this incredible event today. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this special panel discussion hosted by the Journalists and Writers Foundation in celebration of World Children's Day. This year's theme, as Banu also mentioned, Global Youth Voices for Children's Rights and Empowerment, highlights the critical importance of centering youth perspectives in conversations about children's rights. This event is more than just a gathering. It's part of a broader, ongoing commitment by JWF to amplify youth voices and empower the next generation of changemakers. Many of you may remember the impactful Youth Voices on Global Goals panel, where JWF explored the UN SDGs and inspired young people to drive action in their own communities. Today's panel builds upon that legacy, diving deeper into the intersections of children's rights and the SDGs, with a particular focus on education, equality, and sustainability. We are privileged to have a remarkable group of speakers here with us today, each bringing unique perspectives and expertise to the conversation. Together, we will explore not only the challenges faced by children worldwide, but also the innovative solutions and transformative actions that young leaders are spearheading to create a more inclusive, equitable, and sustainable future for all children. We hope that this dialogue inspires meaningful action and collaboration as we work together to uphold and protect the rights of children all around the world. So let's get started. Over to you, Banu.
Thank you, Zehra. Yes, indeed, it's very exciting. So let's get right into the panel with our speakers. Our first speaker is Mustafa Akpinar. Mustafa is a third-year student at the University of Maryland, majoring in information systems with a strong commitment to mentorship, leadership, and community development. As a volunteer with the nonprofit organization Martı, Mustafa mentors high school students, helping them build essential life skills, personal confidence, and providing supports and guidance for their future endeavors. He is also the founder of Lead Up Maryland, an organization with the mission to drive youth-led initiatives that empower underprivileged communities and foster a more inclusive world. Through fundraisers, volunteering programs, and collaborative projects, Lead Up Maryland inspires young individuals to become change makers in their community. Today, he will be speaking on youth-driven initiatives, empowering underprivileged communities, and fostering a more inclusive world, covering the SDGs 10, reduced inequalities. Over to you, Mustafa.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a great morning or a great night or evening, wherever you are. Let me just share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Hey, everyone. Once again, my name is Mustafa. I'm a third-year computer science student here at University of Maryland. I'm also the Lead Up president here in Maryland, and today I have a short little presentation explaining to you guys what Lead Up is and how we could use your help. So Lead Up was founded in 2018. It's a student-led initiative established in Virginia first. We have over 90 youth students across 3 states, Virginia, Maryland, and North Carolina. Our mission is to empower the youth to address global challenges and support vulnerable children. We focus on orphans, refugees, children with special needs, and those in impoverished regions. Every year, we take on both a local and a global project. And some of our past projects have been constructing schools, building water wells, holding ESL lessons, and creating library for children in needs. So some of our milestone projects, like I said, we have usually one local project and one big global project each year. Our local project last year was a partnership with Innova, which is a children's hospital here in Virginia. We helped renovate their children's library. Our past global projects include the refugee project in Greece, the earthquake relief project in Turkey/Syria, and our main project, which is the Kenya project, where we help open schools, open water wells, and help the orphans there. And in total, since 2018, we raised about $100,000. And moving forward, we aim to expand our reach and amplify our efforts, and we hope to empower more youth to create a meaningful change across the globe. And on top of these projects, we also have current emergencies that we take care of. The most recent one was Hurricane Helene in Florida. As soon as that happened, we opened a GoFundMe and we raised about $2,000 for that hurricane project. So yes, we have these milestone projects, but at the same time, if these emergencies come up, we make sure to help them as much as we can. Our impact highlights. So first, I want to say that our work aligns closely with the key sustainable development goals that were established by the United Nations, especially the SDG 4, 6, and 10, which helps ensure our efforts to contribute to a better world. If I were to dive into deeper detail about our projects, for our Greece project, we raised about $30,000 to help the refugee families in Greece and create a library for them. Our volunteers hosted ESL lessons. They mentored children transitioning to Europe and American countries. And at the end of the year, we had a volunteer trip where we organized a summer camp to support these children. We made sure to address their traumatic experiences, and we made sure to provide emotional support and motivation to help them rebuild their lives. Our Kenya trip, we raised about $48,000. This was used to renovate a special needs school, build 3 water wells, and support the local orphanages there. Our Turkey/Syria project was when the earthquake happened last year in 2023. We raised about $15,000 to help families in need. Along with the money, we also help them by sending essential items such as blankets, tents, and non-perishable food items. And finally, the local Children's Hospital project. We renovated their library, like I said. We donated $5,000 and over 400 books, which were also collected by our volunteers. Innovation and youth engagement. So one of our main goals is to increase our youth engagement and improve leadership skills for our youth leaders. Our volunteers gain hands-on experience in project management, event coordination, and community outreach. And we hope providing these leadership roles will foster them with confidence, empathy, and a sense of responsibility. Another goal we have is cultural exchange. We hope to bridge communities globally. And we do this by our Kenya trip, by engaging with local children, building schools, and distributing essential supplies. Another way we do this was through our Greece refugee support project. We taught the children their ESL lessons. We ran mentor camps, and we hope that this helped them foster personal and professional growth. And another goal I would say we have is to make sure that our volunteers don't just come here, volunteer, and go home. They have transformative experiences. We hope they return home with new perspectives and new connections that they make with people all around the world. And we hope that with these connections, they could continue our projects and as the years go by, make them into even bigger projects. So our 2024-2025 goals for this year, we have a hefty goal of about $60,000. Where will this money go? Well, a part of it, we're hoping to use it here for our local project, the Innova project. We have a December Make-A-Wish initiative where the kids in the hospital have wish lists for Christmas. And with this money, we hope to buy these presents and give them to kids. Another part is the Africa project. This year, instead of opening just water wells and opening schools, we hope to sponsor educational expenses for about 30 of these high school students, as well as providing them with mentorship programs. And a third of it will go to Greece, as we have an ongoing project for the refugee camps. But this year, on the side, we also hope to sponsor the monthly housing expenses of about 38 families. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being here. If you guys want to open a leadup branch, maybe in your area or your state, don't hesitate to reach out. Our email is info@leadupusa.com. We also have a website and our social media if you guys want to take a look. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mustafa, for sharing your diverse projects, especially as young activists and leading other young activists as well. Now we will move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Bera Turetken. Bera is a recent graduate from CUNY Brooklyn College with a degree in business management and marketing. He is now working as a digital marketing management trainee at L'Oreal, focusing on enhancing data-driven experiences across their brand websites. In addition to his career, Bera is involved in several nonprofit organizations, including Youth Islands New York, Peace Islands New York, and advocacy activities with the Journalists and Writers Foundation. He actively engages in interfaith dialogue and contributes to projects with the Alliance for Shared Values. Today, he will be speaking on SDGs 10, Reduce Inequalities, SDGs 4, Quality Education, and SDGs 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions, on the theme Youth-Led Interfaith Initiatives, Building Bridges and Empowering Future Leaders. Thank you, Bera. The floor is yours.
Bana, thank you so much for a great interaction. I'll share my screen, and while I'm sharing my screen, I want to say thank you to GWF. It's an honor to be here, as always, part of our events, and I'm a proud not ex, but still part of the GWF intern as well. So thank you so much to them. So what I'm going to talk about is Young Peace Builders, and initiative that started in New York, in the Southern Brooklyn. But before I talk about that, I want to talk about a little bit myself. You explained briefly, but besides my work, I am really interested in the NGOs and helping my community. So as you mentioned, I was part of the Youth Island New York. I am still Peace Islands New York, which helps the interfaith dialogue in the New York, Alliance for Shared Values, Turkic Foundation of Brooklyn, Young Peace Builders, the program that I'm going to talk about. And some background of myself, and I'm an immigrant, so it's an opportunity for me as well to be part of this panel to learn more about the community that I'm part of it right now, which is United States, and the ways that I can help. I'm from Izmir, western part of Turkey, and right now I live in Brooklyn, New York. Let's talk about the Young Peace Builders. So the project itself goes back to 2012 as a cooperation of the Turkish Culture Center Brooklyn and Kings Bay Y. And let's talk about what is Kings Bay Y and how the program started. So the origin of the program is actually the Brooklyn and the Turkish Culture Center Brooklyn and the Kings Bay Y part, which is the Jewish Community Center in the south of Brooklyn, coming together and asking the questions themselves, how we can help and empower children to create a more peaceful world after this unfortunate event happened in 2010. The Gaza brutal raid happened. So both sides executives came together and created this Young Peace Builders program, basically a dialogue program for the Jewish and Turkish Muslim community in Brooklyn, but more focusing on the high school kids. Oops, sorry, I have other skin too. Let me touch here. Okay, great. The purpose of the program is, as I explained briefly, is to understanding and respecting between communities, and by nurturing interfaith relationship and empowering young people with the leadership skills and cultural awareness need to build a more harmonious and equitable future aligned with the SDGs that I'm going to talk about, which is quality education, reduce inequalities, and peace, justice, and strong institutions. So I'll just make it clear, whenever they created this program back in 2012, they were not aiming to focus on these SDGs, but I just put them here as a purpose so it can align with today's panel as well. And then how we're going to achieve this. Okay, these are great initiatives. We want to do this, but how? And then how we're going to do is basically the best way that we can create the peace, putting two communities together, bringing people together to understand each other. The project focuses on bringing high school kids together in programs, in the events that I'm going to show you in the close picture, about sharing cultures, religions, values, and ideas. And in these events, we became teammates. It doesn't need to be specifically Jewish, with anyone. When we work in the school, when we know our neighbors, when we know our friends, we become teammates, working together, learning together, experiencing together, and communicating with each other to create how we can create the more peaceful world. And this is basically how we're going to empower our high school kids, now sometimes college kids also, to create this. So this was an example draft curriculum of Young Peace Builder season. We tried doing the school season starting in September, ending in the May. You can see here we start with a barbecue, of course, like it was such a great ice-breaking event, right? Why not? And we tried to align with our cultural and religion dates also. Like you can see here, for example, cooking class, we did in the Hanukkah, so we can we can celebrate Hanukkah of the Jewish side, and at the same time create like traditional food and both sides, including their culture, like the Turkish side and the Jewish side, and we can share more about this. I have more, I'm gonna share that in the future in the details, but we got some New Year events, we got some negotiation and debate workshops, so we can help our high school kids not just learning from each other, but at the same time learning from the event, public speaking skills, initiatives, their leadership skills, and more. We got some leadership session over here, speaker talking about different leadership role, and we got more fun stuff as well. And at the end, we are doing the recap phase, which is Ramadan. Now it's coming back. It's not the end of the season anymore, but still Ramadan is one of the biggest events. So our events, we organize these events, of course, not just me coming here thinking, oh, let's do this, but we ask our children, what do you want? And this was one of the kickoff events. Unfortunately, New York City weather is sometimes cold, so we had to do online because of some of the like winter issues. But they talk about, we asked them, what do you want to have? And they told us, we want to have fun program. Of course, high school kids, they want to have a fun program. We want fun activities, free food. That was so funny. But at the same time, everybody mentioned volunteering, other events that more free food. I love that. But more volunteering that we can help the communities, and then how we can empower each other. I just want to say one thing, that when I joined this program was before me. I joined this program as a high school kid. So I was an attendee, and after my graduation, when I became college, I became a mentor. So I had like very close relationship with this program, both being an attendee and a mentor. So let's talk about our events. These are not in order, but they had like the DC trip. I wasn't part of this, but because I'm not part of it doesn't mean that didn't happen. But we had a Washington DC trip and visiting Holocaust Museum for building bridges and fostering dialogue. This is a great example of experiential learning and cultural understanding, combating intolerance and promoting inclusive societies, and at the same time, I think most importantly, building bridges and fostering dialogue for a very peaceful future that our kids should have. Now we move on to our next event. Oops. We had a great cooking class. This was my favorite. We had a cultural exchange and understanding. The Hanukkah cooking class, as I mentioned earlier as well, offered a delicious way to explore and appreciate diverse culinary traditions. And by working with each other, we help to learn more about our cultures and our at the same time, we celebrate Hanukkah also. We had to learn about faithful events as well. Here are some more pictures of us working together. Like here's Patrick, you can see in the left side in the middle, my really close friend. And then here you can see the Jewish side. They're working together. Okay, this is a very funny picture. I really wanted to put it because it shows how actually it creates relationship and building communities, bringing together. This is me and my close friend Michael. He's in Villanova University right now. We had some fun activity after this. Now let's move on to one of the most important events that we had. I have a quick video of our Instagram talking about this as well. The Embrace Sleep visit. So for the ones who don't know what is Embrace Relief, is an humanitarian aid and social. Embrace Relief is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing humanitarian aid and disaster relief to vulnerable communities worldwide, which provided powerful opportunity to contribute to global efforts addressing poverty and inequality. This was a great example of how we can become an active citizenship and help to more global engagement, which covers the SDGs 4 and 10 and 16. Let's move on. Okay. All right, great. This is another picture from Embrace Leaf. All right, so this was another great example of interfaith dialogue and understanding and building community bridges. This was our Ramadan iftar dinner with the Jewish side and the Muslim side coming together, having a feast, talking about our culture, each other culture, what are the similarities and how we can do more in the events that we can share our similarities with other people to create more peaceful environment. Let's move on. We got a synagogue visit. By the way, what I'm saying, we got it. It's not just did it one time. It's just the pictures that I have. We do this every year with the new high school kids coming in so they can learn also. Not just one time doing it. Every year these things happen. So in this picture, Rabbi is explaining the 10 commandments to the audience. This is another example of how interfaith dialogue and understanding each other can bring communities together and empower the children to create a great, peaceful world in the future. Did we have a mosque visit too? Yes, we did, but unfortunately I couldn't find the pictures of it, so I'm really sorry. But these are some other pictures. This is a synagogue in Midwood, which is in South Brooklyn, a very big popularity of Russian Jews, and they have a beautiful synagogue over here. All right, so this is actually one of our highlighting events that we had with not specifically with Jewish side, but for more Turkish side of high school kids for their empowerment and educational. So we had a 2-day trip to Washington, D.C., focusing on advocacy and education and empowering children. We met with representatives, congressmen, women, learn more about the advocacy and how the lobbying works and more. So it was a great opportunity for our high school kids to learn more about how the culture of the DC works. You know, some of them watched the House of Cards, so they were very excited to walk around the building and everything. Let me show you some other pictures. This is here about speaking with a congressman. Here's our high school kids mostly. It was a great experience for them. Another picture that we are talking with them. So let me see if I have more picture. Yep, and over here, Lexi Hamel, she's a great person. She's talking about how the lobbying works in the United States and what are the opportunities for high school kids who are interested in working in the DC as an intern, as an working next to the congressman or the Senate, and what are the possible opportunities. I know, I think 10 or 15 minimum people, they reached her out for internships, and I think a couple of them got it. So this was an event that the whole United States organized it, but from Brooklyn and New York, Young Peace Builders was representing our great city. This is another picture of us. All right. Of course, it was a 2-day trip. It wasn't just, you know, I show you in the beginning what the kids want. They want to have fun, fun, fun. So we did some museum visiting as well to learn more about the culture, and it was an airplane museum. So we learn about the history of the airplanes. All right, so why we are doing all of these? Actually, there are so many other events. If you go to our Instagram, you can check it out. I can put it in the chat. I forgot to put it here. You can learn more about what are we doing and what are we going to do in the future. But the main focus of the program, again, let's come to the point, understanding and respect within communities. But even though we don't do an event with a specific community, like Jewish side, Christian side, doesn't matter. More importantly is helping our kids with the leadership skills, cultural awareness, and helping them, empowering them, them to become the next future leaders of our world, so they can bring peace and they can learn these with harmony. This is all from me. Thank you so much. Looking out for your questions in the Q&A section, but that's all from me.
Thank you so much, Bera. I'm especially impressed by the community building sides of your organization's projects, and especially doing these continuously for more sustainable relationship buildings. Thank you. We will now move on to our next speaker, Gabriella Menayang. Gabriella is a longtime volunteer in Indonesia, where she mainly works with Love in the Streets, a nonprofit organization that focuses on empowering people in rural areas of Indonesia, stressing the importance of faith and culture, education, grassroots movement, sustainability, and most importantly, human connections. She's passionate about and works in projects covering children's access to basic needs and creating sustainable connections. Today, Gabriella will be talking on education and empowerment for the children in rural Indonesia, covering SDGs quality education, SDGs reduced inequalities. On to you, Gabriella.
Thank you, Banu, for the introduction. And thank you to the team at JWF actually for making this happen and for being a part in raising awareness about things that truly matter. It's a privilege for me to address you today on World's Children Day. And I think this occasion is really a huge opportunity for us to reflect on the rights of children and, more importantly, on our collective responsibility to ensure that every single child has access to the opportunities they need to thrive. But before that, let me share my screen. Yes. Okay. 1 second. Okay, yeah, I hope everyone can see this. So as Banu said earlier, I'm going to be talking about empowerment for children through education for the rural village of Manurara. Well, first of all, I'd like to take you all to my home country, Indonesia. And for those of you that don't know, it's a vast archipelago of 17,000 islands. You can see on the left of the screen, it's a map of Indonesia, and it's a beautiful country of diversity. However, its geography and the fact that it is still a developing country also presents significant challenges. In many rural areas, basic human needs and things that most of us are actually blessed to be familiar with, such as access to clean water, sanitation, and education, are often unmet. And these challenges are particularly evident in villages like Manurara. It's a tiny village in the island of Sumba. You can see on the right side of the screen, it's east of Indonesia, and it is a case that I will focus on today. So in Manurara, quality education is not just, or it wasn't just a luxury. It was pretty much a dream. You see, the nearest school was over 4 hours away by truck, back and forth to the city and back to the village. So what this means is for around 20 children, it was a daily round trip that after having been on the truck myself, and as you can see on the screen, it's quite dangerous. So it's filled with dangers on unsafe roads. The kids go through rocky mountain terrain, and not to mention the risk of landslides that might occur from heavy rains. So, and many families really risk sending their children to school in these conditions. And unfortunately, because of that, many children are also left behind in the village without the tool of education to really unlock their potential. But as we all know, it takes a village, and in this case, literally and figuratively, to bring a change. So through a partnership together with the local nonprofit and the village chiefs of Manurara, our Love in the Streets team traveled to the village with a single mission: to empower the children and to ensure that education was no longer a distant dream, but a tangible reality for these kids. And we started by focusing on what mattered most to the community. And in a meeting with the village head, it became really clear. They expressed that they wanted and they needed, above all else, an education and medical center. And this is because it's two foundational pillars for the health and the future of the next generations of the villagers. So from there, our Jakarta-based team started the work of raising funds. In the left of the screen, you can see it was we raised funds through Marathon, while the Sumba team, the local Sumba team, and along with the villagers, mobilized resources to build a medical and educational center of Manurara. You can see on the right side of the screen. And in May 2021, sorry, after months of hard work, and thank God we managed to open the doors to the Sumba Education and Medical Center. It's a space now where children could receive quality education without the dangerous and really exhausting journey to the city. And how do we do this, you ask? Teachers from the city were brought in, and together with local volunteers, they created a learning environment that nurtured curiosity, creativity, and critical thinking, and most importantly, a system that adheres to the national educational standards of Indonesia. And this project was truly remarkable, but beyond the building, I think the real success of this project lies in its sustainability. Through the commitment of the community, the local nonprofit, and our own team, we together have established that education is not just about access, but it's about quality as well. And the center is now thriving. And today, children who once had to travel for hours to access education are now learning, growing, and dreaming right at home in their posyandu, which is what we call the Medical and Education Center. And our work in Sumba is just one example of what is possible when we focus on education as a fundamental right for all children, especially in rural areas. And with this, I think it's important that we ask ourselves two questions. One, how can we create more sustainable and accessible educational opportunities for rural children worldwide? And two, how can we ensure that education is not just a privilege, but a right, regardless of where a child lives? I think it's really important for us to talk about this because, again, access to quality education in rural areas is a critical issue, not just in Sumba, but it affects millions of children worldwide. And education is one of the most powerful tools for breaking the cycle of poverty, something that many rural villages face, an issue that many rural villages face. But for children in these villages, the barriers are often greater than just a lack of access to schools. So with regards to the questions, and personally to me, the answer starts with you and I. Manurara is just one of many examples of how you and I can be a part of change. Grassroots movements from the bottom up. It's not just about building schools. It's about talking. It's about communicating. It's about building connections with people and asking them, what are your perimeters of sustainability? First, figuring out what does sustainability mean to you and how can we help? It's about ensuring that local communities have the resources to take charge of their own children's future. And it's about creating models that can be replicated in other areas that are facing these similar challenges. So again, this isn't just about raising awareness. It's about a call for action. For me, on the ground in Manurara, I was in charge of teaching music and sports to kids. So you see, you and I don't really need special qualifications to be part of change, because being human is qualification enough. We're all a part of this global community, and we are all a part of something bigger than ourselves. So if I'm going to leave with anything, I'd like to end it with this. Let's empower children in the ways that we can and in our own spheres of influence, starting from your sisters, your brothers, your neighbors, children, and your own children. And let us remember that when we invest in this, when we invest in education, and when we invest in children, we're investing in the future of our planet. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights, Gabriella, on your experiences in rural Indonesia and talking about the importance of talking to locals regarding their needs and, the bottom-up movement. So now we have a lot of participants in the chat as well. Among our attendees, Dinesh says, it's incredible to see and listen to young, passionate youths working on various projects for driving positive change across the globe. Thank you. And thank you to our speakers again. Abdul Nasir Umar says, it's highly commendable and inspiring to see young people making a positive impact in the society by bringing out so many projects and events. Yes, it is really inspiring indeed. Do you see any, Zehra, that you would like to add?
Yes, all the comments so far have been great and very inspiring, just as Banu said. For Bree, I think they also wanted a soft copy of the presentation, so we can also get that to them after the presentation. But thank you guys in the chat for all the inspiring messages as well.
Yes. Thank you all. We will now move on to our next speaker. While I introduce her, Zehra is going to start playing a video of hers, a short video of her. Our last speaker is a children's activist from India, an advocate for sustainability and biodiversity. She's actually right now in Baku for the COP29. It's Prasiddhi Singh. She's the founder of Prasiddhi Forest Foundation and a trailblazing young environmentalist. At just 10 years old, she became the youngest social entrepreneur to receive the Prime Minister National Child Award in 2021, India's highest civilian honor for the children. Known as India's youngest fruit forest creator, she has planted over 150,000 trees and established several microforests. She's recognized as the Earth Day Network Rising Star and recipient of the Global Sustainability Award 2021. Prasiddhi has inspired an eco army of more than 80,000 eco warriors through more than 1,000 workshops worldwide. Today, she will be talking about how children are making a positive difference in the world, covering SDGs 15, Life on Land. Thank you for being here, Prasiddhi, and the floor is yours.
Hello everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you
Yeah.
are, Prasiddhi. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Right now I'm at COP29 in Baku, and I'm joining from a place where there isn't much internet, but I'm very happy to be over here and connect with all of you amazing people. So I'm Prasiddhi. I'm 12 years old. I'm the youngest head of delegation present at COP29. Still, I'm the founder of Prasiddhi Forest Foundation and the Green Pillar. Prasiddhi Forest Foundation is an NGO that focuses, a UN accredited NGO that focuses on nature-based solution projects such as indigenous tree plantation, lake restoration, agroforestry, mangrove plantation, and multiple other community projects. Besides that, I'm also the founder of the Green Pillar, which is a social enterprise that focuses on climate education for young people. So we design climate courses with ocean biologists, sustainability specialists, and then host it on our own learning management platform. I have planted 150,000 trees across 107 different locations and also mobilized 80,000 people across 20 countries through both of my initiatives. I've been doing this since the age of 4, so it has been more than 8 years now that I've been in the climate space and been working on projects like these. My journey started as a young nature lover, and I think that is why, as we celebrate on the occasion of Children's Day, the importance of how vital it is to represent sustainable development goals. I would really like to share my journey because last year as well, I was there at COP28. I had the opportunity to be one of the keynote speakers at the UN SDG Pavilion alongside our United Nations General Assembly President, Mr. Dennis Francis. And over there, I spoke about something incredibly important. That is, today as we face this climate crisis, right? Every day we get to know about something or the other, some news that is mostly negative when it comes to climate. But as we march towards achieving the SDGs in 2030, we have two choices: either to use it as an opportunity or to be worried and stressed and have eco anxiety as we come closer to our future, as we grow up towards the climate issues that we face, not just in the future, but are facing in the present. I think it's incredibly vital for all of us to treat it as an opportunity, the upcoming next 6 years that we've got before the 2030 year. Now, besides that, today, I would like to stress a little bit on the potential of young people, because as per reports of UN UNDESA, it is claimed that by 2030, we will be nearly 1.3 billion in number, youth, for say. That is a huge power force that, if leveraged properly, if used towards the betterment of our future, can make a huge difference. And it can make impact go from linear to exponential. I think that is so much needed and so very, very vital. Besides that, I also would like to share about my journey and how I started. So from always, I've been a nature lover from a very young age. I'm still young, but even before I could walk or talk, admiring the rustling of leaves, the buzzing of bees, and the waves of seas has been something I really admire. But then at the age of 4 in 2016, well, I live in India, that is in Asia, South Asia, in Tamil Nadu. That is a southern state, and we have a coast of nearly 1,076 kilometers. And with a coast like that, we are always prone to cyclones and droughts and all sorts of multiple different natural disasters. And that represents how vital it is for climate resilience and adaptation to be present in places like mine. But going back to my journey, at the age of 4 in 2016, when Varda cyclone hit the shore of Tamil Nadu, where I live, I was so disheartened by the impacts, because treating trees like my friends, when I saw the devastation, trees getting uprooted, roads flooded, I decided that I have to take real climate action. And so I started participating in multiple different tree plantation drives, learning from experts, NGOs, villagers, farmers, doing it myself, understanding the importance of indigenous tree plantation, not doing monoculture, how to plant trees, nursery growing, looking after it, maintenance, all sorts of levels. And then at the age of 6, I founded Prasiddhi Forest Foundation, my own mission in 2018, Prasiddhi Forest Foundation, with the mission that I want to heal our earth and I want to take real-time climate action. Now, we have planted 150,000 trees in 107 different locations, in rural communities, rural schools, marginalized communities, and also empowering vulnerable spaces to become more green, more sustainable, and more, I would say, climate efficient and supportable for our planet. Besides that, later on, when I was the youngest national G20 speaker, I also had the opportunity to launch the Green Pillar. That is a social enterprise that focuses on climate education. As I mentioned earlier as well, we have a community of global experts around the world who help in facilitating events like these for young people to also become more climate literate. And when I got the invitation to speak with Journalists and Writer Foundation on this amazing occasion, I was thrilled because being a young person who believes in the power of action, who believes in the power of resilience, who believes in how vital it is for each and every one of us to come together in order to make real time change happen, I was thrilled to connect with all of you amazing people from around the world and share my message with you. That is, as young people marching towards sustainable development goals, we have to ensure that we are hopeful and resilient. And the most important thing is together. Because today, as we face this Anthropocene, the geological age in which human activities has been dominant, we face three central challenges. The first one is to mitigate climate change. Second one is to protect biodiversity. And the third one that we never forget is ensuring human well-being. But we are definitely not going on track because it is projected that by 2040, 1 in 4 children will be living in areas with extreme water shortage, or that by 2050, there will be more plastic in the sea than fish, or by 2100, all the rainforests will be gone. So, with not much to look up to, we really need to keep hope by our side, and more than that, action by our side in order to make real time change happen. Um, so I will just say once again that everything in nature is interconnected, everything. And being a child who has always believed in the power of biodiversity and nature, I have understood how vital it is to learn from nature, because I have built a community, a network around the world. But do you know where I got the idea in the first place? It is from a place we often forget, my garden, from nature. Because when I saw a bee pollinating a flower and a flower giving nectar to the bee, I saw a symbolic representation of partnerships and collaboration. And I learned how vital it is for all of us to collaborate, for all of us to build a network of change and impact if we want to see a better future. And that is incredibly needed. Or else, if it comes to, being consistent or never giving up, because every day I face challenges. Just imagine a 6-year-old girl going to different people, talking to them, even at the age of 12, telling people to work towards climate, and not just telling them, doing it myself, presenting myself as a case study for other people to join my mission. It is tough, but I believe in the power of me, and I believe in the power of all of you. If united together, can make such a big difference. Um, so I would just like to say, let's work together to protect nature, to protect our planet, because it is projected that in the next decade, we can lose, if we do not stop plundering and polluting our planet, we can lose nearly 1 million species of biodiversity. And that is a huge thing. For instance, we will lose coral reefs, which will impact fish first, then fishers, then entire economies. So, as I told you, everything in nature is connected. Problems are connected, and so are solutions. Because if glaciers are melting in Antarctica, it will affect India as well. It will affect around the world, sea level rise, then our forests, then our ecosystems. So, you know where the ray of hope is? The ray of hope is in children. We pave a gateway of something so special, that is imagination and energy. I think we do not work on the concept of making real things possible. We work on the concept of making imaginable possible. If we can imagine it, we can do it. So we need to believe in our power of imagination and the energy that we have. We have so much of energy, so much of creativity. We use that towards a better cause and channel it into a better direction. It can actually make real change happen. Now, I would also like to talk about something else important that I talk about in multiple different places. That is something that we as all young people need to have. That is a sense of hope, a sense of reality, and a sense of responsibility. So, so important and so much needed for all of us, because I think that today, as we face this climate tragedy, this unprecedented climate issues or gender equality or all sorts of different problems around the world, we really need to have a sense of reality that I don't think I have to stress upon. We all know what is happening with eco anxiety and climate anxiety, but we need to have hope as well. We need to believe that there is a future we can look up to because, as I told you, imaginable possible. So until we can't imagine it and look for it, we cannot make a difference happen. And finally, a sense of responsibility. You can think about it, you can do whatever you like, but until we don't take real action, we cannot make real difference happen. And we as children have a very special tool, and that tool is two things: our phones and our brains. Let's start with phones. Social media, because social media is a tool that helps connect so many different people, and that is something I'm trying to utilize to spread awareness. I would love to stay in touch with all of you through my social media. On Instagram, for instance, it is prasiddhi.official, or on LinkedIn it is Prasiddhi Singh, or on X it is Prasiddhi_. You can reach out to me, get connected with me. I'll be more than happy to see how we can do something together. And we all need to use our power, because we all as individuals are influencers. We do not need to be on social media to influence other people or to make change happen. Reach out to your family, reach out to your friends, and inspire other people to start a chain of change. And the second one is brains, because I have realized that as children we do not have limits. We can do whatever we like, so we use this for our planet. Nothing better is possible. So I would like to conclude by asking one simple question to all of you. Do you remember your first drawing? For me, it was a tree, and for most of us, it's a flower, a rainbow, or the mountains, or the hills, or the houses. From the very beginning, we've been connected to nature. So why should we separate from it now? Just because of the audacity of things that go around us, or the world that is so fast paced, that shouldn't mean that we get separated from nature, because that is where our future lies. So I'll say one last thing and leave all of you for then. That is, don't just think out of the box, act out of the box, and dream high, higher than the sky. Think deep, deeper than the ocean, and act like trees, bees, and seeds. So bye bye, everyone. And I would love to stay connected. Thank you so much, Journalists and Writer Foundation, for inviting me. I was more than happy to connect with all of you, and I look forward to collaborating with each and every one of you in whichever way possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prasiddhi, for your very informative session. And what an inspiring story you have had until now, and the inspirations we can all gain through just paying attention to the world around us. And we are very excited to see what's to come for you. Now we will head over to our Q&A session through the chat, and people will also be allowed to turn on their cameras and microphones if they prefer to ask questions to the speakers of our panel. Now let's look at some of the questions. First, we would like to read out some of the comments in the chat. Alhaji Ibrahim says, it's really inspiring to see youth coming up with projects that is of enormous advantage, particularly to the young generation children, those in rural areas, such as having quality education and poverty salvation, dedicating time and resources for a better tomorrow. Thank you as well all for engaging in this and in our global community. Haruna says, such a great excitement to see you at this age making a great impact. Keep it up. Chinwendu says, I'm really challenged by your resilience and enthusiasm. Prasiddhi Singh. So thank you all. Now we will go to the question. One question that we have is, what has been your most memorable experience and lead up so far? This one is, I assume, for Mustafa. Mustafa, the floor is yours.
I would say being able to actually go to Kenya and see the effect of our project, experience it firsthand, because from across the country or not being there physically, you don't really understand the effect of what you do. But once you see the kids there, see how happy they are when you get them clean water. They tell you that to get water, they have to walk like 2 miles a day, and being able to actually see these kids and see how much we help them, it really fulfills you, makes you happy. So that's probably my most memorable experience.
That is great. Then we also have a question from Dinesh. If you would like to open your camera, video, you can ask and do so as well. Yes. Hi, Dinesh. You can ask your question now, or I can read it from the chat. I found your question.
Banu, you can read it out. If someone else is interested in joining the session, sharing their comments with these fantastic line of speakers, please raise your hand. I'll move you to the panelist section. That would be wonderful to hear from our audience, to see them, but of course only if convenient. So please raise your hands while Banu reads out the question.
Yes. So we have from Dinesh a question for Prasiddhi. Since you're already attending the COP, don't you feel government of each country should fund projects of SDG advocates like you and other speakers so that it fast tracks the SDG goals by 2030? Great to see you driving SDG goals not only through ground level with the communities, but also putting efforts in capacity building of the next generations through training programs.
Firstly, thank you so much for all your appreciation. If I get your question right, it is that if people, or I'll say government, should be funding SDG advocates like myself for the projects that I do. I would say, well, definitely. I mean, it's appreciated and definitely welcomed because I do work on the ground, and there is a lot of density of work or intensity of work that goes into doing this and making this possible in reality. So it is hard, and I welcome that, but I also think that there are funds on a global level that are being allocated. The importance is of it being allocated and it being able to reach people, it being able to reach different people on the ground, because over here at COP29 or even at COP28 right now, a huge focus has been on the NCQG, the new collective quantifiable goal. That is, I'm speaking particularly in terms of climate because that's the space I'm from. But in that segment, the idea is to support developing countries so that they can help come up with solutions that can support the planet, that can support the climate, and also to be able to make themselves more stable. And people are working on it, the governments are supporting on it, but people are not able to get it. That is an element that needs to be worked on when we speak of a top-bottom approach. And otherwise, of a bottom-top approach, that's something I'm trying to do, represent voices of children, most importantly, rural children and children around the world, and showcase our importance and definitely work on collaboration.
Yes, thank you for your answer, Prasiddhi. Next, we have a question from Haruna. You can open your mic and your camera if you prefer to ask your question.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to actually join the session. I basically don't have a question. I just want to try to recall what happened and then, also comment on the last speaker, the one with the, I don't know, 12 years old, something like Singh, because for me, I can recall few years back when I attended one of the events in my country, in the Gambia, when we had an argument on the subject whether children should be fully engaged on climate issues because they might not have the idea of what the sustainable development goals are. So I just want to say, I mean, taking example from Singh, I think he has proved to many of us that, well, the children's involvement in the SDG goals are very important, and also they can do a significant impact. So this argument was something that a lot of people had to, argue on, bring on points. But I would definitely like to connect with him and also get more on how he can also share to some of these issues that a lot think that maybe kids, children cannot do a lot. So thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much for your questions.
Mehmet Kaya raised his hand, but in the meantime, I shared a feedback from Ahmad. If either Zehra or Banu is available to read it out, I would appreciate. If not, I can join it.
Okay, so Abdul Nasir is asking, what is your biggest challenge in carrying out this life-saving project? I'm not sure who the question is for, but any of our panelists can answer the question, or we can have an answer for all of our panelists maybe, because they're all from very diverse projects and very different aims and goals. Yes, go ahead.
Well, if no one's speaking, I'll take the lead. I think I face diverse challenges, and I face, as I mentioned in my brief intervention as well, I face challenges every day. But if we have to talk particularly, then I'll say that both in terms of on-ground action itself, convincing people to believe in a person like me at the age of mine, and for people to actually understand what I'm doing is one element. Then, besides that, when we talk about real-time action, now, for instance, on ground, we can talk about the tree plantation element of it, right? When I go to different places over there, I plant the trees. Sometimes there is no water. You need to get a water supply. Sometimes the cattle comes and eat it. Sometimes there is a drought or a landslide or some sort of a natural disaster because of which they are not able to survive. Then communities reach out to me and they tell me what is happening. Or else, when it comes to the work that I do on a global level, all the time, different sorts of issues, technical problems, on ground problems, connecting with people, talking to people. I think challenges keep coming, and one of, so if I have to say in terms of biggest challenge, I'll say biggest challenge is actually solving the climate crisis, because that is what we are all working towards. That is an element, but otherwise I don't think I can specify particularly.
Thank you so much. Any of our other panelists wants to answer this question as well about on their biggest challenge in carrying out these projects? If not, I will be moving on to Mehmet Kaya, who is next in line. Here you go, Mehmet.
Hello, can I open my camera?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Oh, hello. First of all, I want to appreciate all of them who contribute to these kinds of organization and projects. So my question is to, Gabriella Menayang. So what was the project that you run? What was the programs that you run in your organization? How did you solve the issue with the public transportation? And did you guys also inspired from other organizations that were also having the same issue as yours in maybe in different countries or different states?
Thanks for your question. In terms of the transportation, we Our project didn't really do much with the transportation, but we did do, so the whole issue was that kids, in order for them to receive an education, for them to go to school, they had to go on a truck. The one I presented on screen, and it was quite dangerous. So the roads were really bad, and there's so many risks of landslides and even the trucks toppling over, which does happen because they are in a mountain, or at least in hilly areas. So we weren't focusing on the transport, but we were focusing on getting teachers to the village to teach the children and give them an education. So in terms of that, they didn't use trucks. The teachers, obviously, in order for you to get up the mountain, you need to use some type of vehicle, and so teachers just use cars, but it wasn't the transport that we were focusing on. But it was a big change because then it wasn't so many people in one car that can risk it, dangerous, things that can risk toppling over, I guess, the trucks and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily what we were focusing on.
Thank you very much for your answer.
Thank you so much, Mehmet. We also have a question from Dinesh. And if they could open their mic and camera, they could ask their question as well. The floor is yours.
Dinesh wanted to raise a hand, so I promoted to a panel section, but if you're not available, that's fine. Please write your question in the chat box and we can proceed with Zara.
Okay, yes, my colleague Zehra, she has a lot of experience also with the CSW, and I think it'd be really interesting to hear her experience as well as a young activist. Zehra, if you can share about these CSW UN events, that'd be great.
Thank you, Banu. So I participated in the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, CSW, as a youth a couple years ago. I would say I was around maybe 15, 16 at the time. It was definitely an empowering and transformative experience for me. And as a youth participant, I contributed to 2 sessions across different years. I delved into research on the kafala system in Saudi Arabia, which focused on harsh realities of basically contractual enslavement of women. It was definitely challenging as a youth to speak on such harsh realities, but I think this is kind of the point of it, representing the voice of women, in my case, in such a large global forum. It allowed me to challenge stereotypes about youth engagement, which I think every youth speaker that we have on today is also doing. And it highlights the vital role among young individuals to play in shaping policy and creating social change. Thank you for the question, Mom.
Of course. Now we have another question regarding Gabriella's organization, Love in the Streets, from Lynn. I loved hearing about the organization Love in the Streets. I was wondering if Love in the Streets has been involved in any other projects. Gabriella, that's for you.
Yeah, Love in the Streets has a lot of projects. We work in now we mostly work in disaster relief because, as I said, Indonesia is a large archipelago and it's in the Ring of Fire. So a lot of natural disasters happen. So LITS is very much involved with that in different areas of Indonesia, providing aid in the wake of disasters and recovery in the aftermath of a disaster. And there's rural development. So far, we've only focused on Sumba, but there are also projects in Bali. Maybe some of you are familiar with Bali. And yeah, medical distribution. And during COVID-19, we had vaccinations and yeah, street sharing for food, refugee care, and help for low-income community and workers.
Thank you so much for both the question, Lynn, and the answer, Gabriella. We have another question from Ethel Poe. Would you like to join the panelists and open your mic and camera? If not, that is also all right. I'll read your question. To Gabriella, what advice do you have for someone that wants to help but doesn't speak the language of a foreign country or dialect or isn't in the area to help? Maybe this question could also be reached out to all of our participants. As if anyone has experience, please take the floor.
I guess my advice, well, I am in the Netherlands right now, so I'm not in Indonesia, but ways I can help is always just sharing and have a community base that talks about these things. And with regards to speaking the language of a foreign country, in Indonesia, Sumba has their own dialect as well. So I wasn't very familiar with the language either. But I think what it takes is really just your heart that you wanna be there and you wanna support people, you wanna empower people, and people can see through that. And like again, I said I worked with music and sports when I was on ground. So even though there were things I couldn't really understand, we were still able to communicate. We were still able to talk and share stories and laugh. And I think those are one of the better things when you just connect as people. So yeah, you don't really need any qualifications, anything. You don't have to be an expert in any language. There's always ways you can help financially, volunteer work, or otherwise, is what I would say.
Thank you so much, Gabriella.
There was also a question for Bera, if you're ready for it. What is one skill you hope every participant learns from the Young Peace Builders program?
Definitely leadership. It's one of the most important thing because that skill, it's going to help you in every aspect of your life, whatever you do. The thing that Mustafa does, Gabriel does, or like you guys right now doing Zehra and Banu, the leadership skills that you provide here in order to change something in the world. And another thing we really like focus on implementing into our projects are how one person not just think of his perspective, but understanding others, also creating empathy. This is basically the base of all the actions that Mustafa is taking, Gabriel is taking, we are taking. We want our high school kids to have this empower with this empathy mindset, and then create something not just for themselves, for their community, but for somewhere else also. Like you focus on Indonesia, so Mustafa focus on Kenya. This brings empathy. So I hope the projects that we did, the high school kids, they already got the empathy, the leadership, and the other skills, so they can be the future of Mustafa's, Gabriel's, Banu's, and Zehra's, and then do what you guys are doing right now. I think those two will be the main things. Thank you for the question.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And I think the questions right now are all about this. We have one last question, and let's use this to also wrap it up. It's a really nice one. It's from Zeliha Akpinar, and she's asking, I have a question to every panelist. What are their strengths/motivations to run these projects? And if all of our panelists, we're only left with 3 now, if all of them can answer, then we can also have a nice roundup of what this event was all about.
I could go first. I would say my biggest motivation to do what I do is to make sure that the youth that are coming after us, they have something to hold on to, something to take care of. They have a sense of responsibility. The people before me, they started lead up, and then once I became a college student, I was able to get in charge of it. So I'm hoping that I can continue what I do so that the next generation has something to hang on and something that they could accomplish as well.
Thank you so much. We can go on with Bera.
Okay, so I kind of told my motivation in the previous question, but what I will say is, as an immigrant who came to the States like 7 years ago, I kind of know like the different communities, different cultures, and how these things are working. So for us, creating this harmony between our communities and the high school kids that we're mentoring, understanding, being able to understand what others are going through, what our communities, the minorities, it's a very important thing for us. So, like understanding the different cultures, religions as well. So my biggest motivation, and it's just me, not just me, but the team and the idea of this project is making making the kids that understand there are not just them, but others around them as well, within their communities or all around the world. And our motivation is to make them understand this, and just like Mustafa said, become the have something to hold on and have a bigger goal than themselves, but to focus on their communities.
I think that's a really great message. Thank you, Bera. Now let's move on to Gabriella.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think my motivation to run I don't run this project. I was a part of it, so I volunteered. But one of my motivations is quite simple. I think it's just really so that children can know that, they have the ability to be more, they have the capacity, and giving them or empowering them with the resources so that they can achieve their fullest potential. I think that's my whole thing. I come from a very privileged place to be able to be educated and even pursue an education outside of my own country. And I think to know that some kids don't have that, to know that their lives are in danger just because they want to learn, just because they want to study more. And, I think that that's something that I'm really passionate about, and that's my greatest motivation. So, yeah.
Those are really nice words, Gabriella. And I think all of our participants are also quite aware of the privilege that we have and the privilege that brings responsibility on us to do better and to do more. And so I would like to use this moment to thank everyone for participating, first of all, our speakers, but also for participating. And I will now give the floor to Zehra.
Thank you, Banu, and thank you all of you for answering all the questions. And thank you everyone for asking the questions. As we come to an end of today's panel, we would all like to extend a heartfelt thank you to our incredible speakers whose insights, passion, dedication, all of that have made this discussion truly impactful. Your contributions have not only deepened our understanding of the challenges that children face, but they have also inspired us with the innovative solutions you're championing to advance children's rights with the SDGs. And to all of you who joined us today, the participants, thank you for being part of this important conversation. By engaging in discussions with all your questions, we collectively moved closer to creating a world where every child has access to education, equality, opportunities to thrive in a sustainable and just environment. We need to keep in mind that we are not supposed to be stopping here. We need to take these ideas, these stories, and calls to action that we shared among us today and carry them forward into our own communities and our own networks, our own jobs, our own schools. And of course, a special thank you to the Journalists and Writers Foundation for their commitment to empowering youth voices and creating platforms for meaningful dialogue. As we commemorate World Children's Day, let's remember that change begins with all of us. Together, we have the power to build a future where every child can dream, grow, and succeed. Thank you, everyone, for your time, your energy, your commitment, your help to making a difference. Let's continue to work towards a brighter, more equitable world for all our children. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.